do scandals matter anymore in politics? Because right now, I think one of the things, this is another thing that I think kind of contradicts where we are, because we've seen the polling data that says most Americans are fatigued by the idea and exhausted from Donald Trump and Joe Biden in a rematch. But this study from studyfinds.org says that major controversies barely impact today's politicians, which is fascinating because we've got stuff from January 6th. We've got election stuff from 2020. We've got both guys with classified documents. We've got Biden with Burisma and Hunter and influence peddling and money laundering. On down the list, these two guys are just constantly hit with a variety of issues. Now, some more than others, some covered more than others, and by who and when and how, we've covered all of that. But I think I have a few conclusions here, and you can find this on studyfinds.org. They talk about going from Watergate to Bill Clinton's impeachment to modern day with Donald Trump and on down the list to Joe Biden. But I think there's a few reasons why it very rarely impacts us anymore. Number one, anytime one of our guys, whether you're a Trump guy or a Biden guy, and I would say probably 8.9 out of 10 people listening are a Trump guy, not a Biden guy, you go to your you go to your corner, right? We get divided even further. We defend and root for our guy if it's Trump. I don't really see many defenders and supporters and fans of Joe Biden, but that's neither here nor there. So you kind of go to your corner of the ring. And so maybe that's why these controversies barely impact today's politicians. I also think it's a day and age where we have small attention spans where, I saw a headline, Hunter Biden this, Donald Trump, Stormy Daniels that. 7 minutes later, I'm completely distracted because a new episode of something just dropped on Netflix, and I'm on to the next thing. I think that's a factor in modern-day society. I think we have too many distractions. Forget just the attention span, where if you don't captivate somebody really quickly, they're moving on to something else. We get sidetracked very often, constantly our heads down. Why? Because we've got that little square rectangle thing in our hand. It's called a phone. It's also our computer. It's our lifeline to society. So we have those distractions. And I also get the sense that there's just like a feeling of apathy right now in this country where, and Dawn, you've said this so many times in a variety of ways, and it's always spot on and well said. We've been through so much these last 3.5 years that it's like, okay, there's another negative headline out there. Surprise, surprise. Today, another day that ends in Y, and I've got more drama that, honestly, at this point, I kind of expect it. And unless it directly affects me, it's not really changing my thoughts and my feelings on politician X or Y.
Yeah, that's well put. One thing that you said, though, you said we have a short attention span, which is true.
Most people.
Then you most people. But then you talked about what am I streaming on Netflix, et cetera. And that made me think of the fact, what impact will this have? Will the writer's strike continuing now, because we're not going to have new content.
Right.
Well, we're not going to have new stuff to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So you made me think of something, Nick, and that is, especially come this fall and winter, will people be more likely to look into and watch politics because we have a void here due to the writer's strike?
Yeah.
We're not going to have all that content.
Mm-hmm.
And so will people, will this become sport for people to just pay more attention to all the antics with politics? Will that be good or bad? I don't know.
Right.
But will it turn people's attention to current events?
And you bring up Netflix and attention spans. I can't tell you how many times over the last 3.5 years with a friend, a family, wife, whatever it might be, kids, daughters, you're sitting there and, hey, all right, we're going to watch Netflix and we're going to watch this show. We're going to binge watch 3 episodes or whatever. And 13 minutes into the first episode, everybody's sitting on the couch and everybody's got their phone and they're looking and scrolling on their phone. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought we were watching Netflix. You wanted to watch this and you're not even paying attention to it because you're scrolling through Facebook, taking a selfie or going on Instagram. Like, even when you consume something that you said you're going to really be interested in, it takes all of 5 or 6 minutes for you to kind of zone out and grab that. I'm telling you, this thing is the worst thing to ever happen to us. I really believe that. I know these things are great.
Yes, thank you.
But there's going to be a day, and I've said this on the show.
Everybody's coming around to my way of thinking.
I'm serious. Like, this ruins communication. This ruins relationships. It leads to antisocialness. It leads to awkward conversations because everybody's used to just staring at a screen, being auto-corrected with their text, using voice to text, and we've totally lost the ability to write a paragraph or have a conversation.
Nobody knows how to communicate anymore. And,
No.
and that is that you are 100% right. One of the things, I say this all the time, that one of my most feared moments when I was a young kid was having to call a girl for the first time on the phone and getting through her parents and what am I going to say to her and all this stuff. Like that doesn't happen anymore. You just text kids now.
Right.
You just text each other.
Yeah.
And it's just like that lesson, when I was in, I don't know, 5th grade or whatever it was, taught me how to like talk to people.
Right.
Like how to have uncomfortable conversations. That's an important lesson.
Yep.
You need to be able to do that.
Right.
And now we're just raising a bunch of kids who just like, look down. I don't know. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. And it's like, what are we doing?
I know, and it's not just the kids. I mean, I've been in. I told you this on the air a couple of weeks ago. I was working at radio places where some of the managers couldn't even have conversations face to face because they were hiking up their dress socks and wiping off their glasses and randomly staring at their computer mid review.
I mean, there's always going to be people who are awkward at conversations, but I think that the smartphone and being able to communicate with people without having to speak to them. And look, I'm guilty of it too. I'd much rather text somebody than talk to somebody.
Oh, of course.
But I went through most of my life not being able to text somebody. So like I learned those skills.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to do after a show at 10:05 is get on my phone.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to check out from society until post-snap.
Jeremy Burke on the YouTube chat. By the way, streaming live on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. If you're watching now, hit the like button, smash that like button. We're at 43 likes. When I get to 100 likes, Jeremy Burke says, old man yells at cloud. Yes, I know. I'm an old man. I get it. I get it. I'm no longer I used to be the young, hip guy on the show.
Well, old man
Not
yelling
anymore.
at cloud was right on a lot of things.
It's true. It's true.
So
But I think a lot of what you're talking about is parenting.
yes.
And for us, we just had it Sunday after church. We go to Little Michael's Diner, and one of David, is looking down, and the server comes up, and we're like, have eye contact, look up, say thank you.
Yeah.
Getting a huge
Well, there's
thing.
been
blah, blah,
stretches-
blah.
God bless you.
Been stretches where my daughters try to bring the iPad, even at 8, 9 years old, into the restaurant because they brought him within the car. I'm like, no, this is we're smart device free for the next hour.
I will throw that damn thing across the room if you don't look at us.
That's because you're a good, if you're a good parent and you're teaching that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, unfortunately, because of a lot of circumstances, they use the phone or the shows as a babysitter.
That's correct. Preoccupy their mind with nonsense, and then mom and dad will have 90 minutes where they can just totally decompress because Bobby's on YouTube watching SpongeBob SquarePants. There you go. Patrick. And
I hate that show.
And Mr. Krabs.